Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very successful entrepreneur, a fellow member of the YPO from Dubai, Mr. Kabir Valrani. Kabir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh, and thank you for having me
Thank
on
you.
this on the show on the podcast.
Thank you. Kabir is the vice chairman of the Al Shirawi Group. He's the chief executive officer of Aswan International Engineering and Modern Plastic Industry. His mission is to contribute to the economic development and social welfare of the UAE and the wider region by creating value, innovation, and excellence in the industrial sector. As I mentioned, he's a fellow member of the YPO and he's from Harvard. So, Kabir, before we start talking to you about your mission, what early experiences motivated you to pursue a career in engineering and manufacturing, and how did they shape your mission for the UAE?
Yeah, so we're a business family, originally from Sindh,
Mhm.
and a lot of family dinners, where we would always partly talk about business and the region and the UAE. And I think one of the uh, I was motivated to be an entrepreneur
Mhm.
at an early age, seeing my father, Mohan Valrani, expanding globally and opening offices everywhere, and doing all these partnerships and JVs. So I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool, and
Mhm.
I was inspired to do that. Um, I think I was also inspired by the leadership of UAE,
Mhm.
Sheikh Zayed and Sheikh Rashid,
Mhm.
His Highness, and they were, also visionaries, expanding with the ports, Emirates Airlines, and Dubai at that time was a small desert.
Yeah.
We actually lived very simple lives during my childhood
Mhm.
that I grew up with. I was living near the airport. There was, one mall, one few schools, few places to go.
Correct.
So very humble lives, and I would say the value system that my family built, the country, is something that I hold close to my heart, of
Mhm.
respect,
Mhm.
trust, and being humble.
Very interesting. You've been part of the Al Shirawi group for nearly 3 decades. What have been some of the most defining lessons from your early leadership years?
So yeah, lots of lessons. I think I graduated from Boston College, and I worked in Merrill Lynch, and I was first of all thrown into the deep end
Mhm.
of the family
Yeah.
business, and I was a graduate. I did manufacturing and operations and finance in college.
Hmm.
I had some knowledge, but the real world is very different than college.
Hmm.
The books, and I think that was part of the strategy that you're thrown into the deep end and learn to swim,
Yeah.
and it was quite overwhelming in the beginning, to be honest.
Hmm.
And I was, had to manage this engineering firm where I was not technically sound,
Hmm.
and the plastics. I didn't have much knowledge of a plastic industry.
Hmm.
But I think my summer internships helped a lot.
Hmm.
Every summer, I would come and work in the company in the Shirawi
Hmm.
group in these firms. And I quickly learned that I need to be thorough technically. I need to learn about these products and the machines and the processes, from machining to injection molding to extrusion.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time on the shop floors. I spent a lot of time traveling to meet suppliers, to
Hmm.
exhibitions, meet customers. So I learned quickly there, and I think that helped my confidence. Um, and then I think we had several crises before I joined, while I joined. We had the oil crisis. We had almost a near bankruptcy in 1986,
Mm-hmm.
minus 100 million, and we recovered as a group. So I think the mindset was, cash is king, keep your balance sheet
Mm.
strong.
Mm.
These are very important things. Cash conversion cycle, your inventory, your debtors should be, healthy. I think, throughout my career, I've been through a lot of crises from the, oil crisis. Oil was, I mean, in COVID, it was almost zero. In
Mm.
2015, it fell 50% from 110 to 50.
Mm.
Um, and then we had the 2008 crisis,
Yeah.
financial crisis.
Mm.
And I think the lessons I learned was we're two family business, the Valrani family and the Shirawi family,
Mm.
founded by Uncle Abdullah al-Shirawi and my father, Mohan Valrani. And I'm Gen 2. I think I learned quickly that the unity of the two families, the power of one,
Mm.
um, is very important. And collectively, we are very flexible, we're adaptable, we're
Mm.
agile. And I learned that the structure of our group was very impressive, meaning I personally am a shareholder and a board of directors and a CEO, which is a very unique structure
Yeah.
where where you have three windows, you
Mm.
have three hats, what I call. And but it actually worked beautifully because we are CEOs empowered to make decisions.
Yeah.
At the same time, we are responsible financially, accountable, and we are very professionally run. We have great directors, great teams,
Mm.
and we are having monthly board meetings where all the numbers are up and you have to be answerable
Mm.
and at the same time, if you have any capex or new projects, we make quick decisions. I think that was a very quick early lesson.
Mm.
And then I think the strength of the Al Sharawi group in terms of diversification.
Mm-hmm.
We are part of a group of 34 companies, and we are into printing, packaging, logistics, education, oil and gas, uh, distribution of
Mm.
various agencies, construction. So I quickly learned that the strength of the group is diversification, especially
Correct.
through crisis. And when we had these 2008 crisis and other crises,
Mm.
the group was still very healthy. Our balance sheet was healthy. We were profitable.
Mm.
And in fact, there's a saying that don't let a crisis go to waste.
Correct.
And that's a very early learning for me where in crisis, I tended to invest more aggressively on
Mm.
machines
Mm.
and buy machines during a crisis, which is actually strange.
Correct.
But I actually got the best deals, the best delivery time.
Mm.
Suppliers were just like, what do you want? So I quickly learned that,
Mm.
take advantage of a crisis, learn to shrink when
Mm-hmm.
required in your inventory and your debtors and, be cautious. At the same time, take the advantage of the opportunity.
Mm.
And I think the other thing that I learned is about the region. Number one, that oil and gas and construction are the prominent industries,
Mm.
and not only the group but the businesses that I manage
Mm.
are related to plastics, is related to construction. We do,
Mm.
we supply to MEP companies,
Mm.
and oil and gas. We are supplying drilling products. So both were related to the prominent growing
Mm.
industries. And so I thought our positioning, the companies that I manage and as a group, was great. We grow with the country as the country expands.
Mm.
Dubai is a touristic, booming country. and we have been fortunate to grow as the country scales, and to a point where we've just been keep expanding and having less capacity,
Correct.
and so it's been great. We're very fortunate
Fascinating. Yeah.
to be in this situation.
Well said. Well said. Kabir, your mission, as I mentioned earlier, is to contribute to the economic development and social welfare of the UAE. Tell me a little bit about how your businesses uh, actually meet some of your the objectives of your own mission.
I think one of the big missions that I have always believed is that UAE should be a knowledge-based economy
Correct.
where industry is a pivotal part in the growth of the country,
Hmm.
and that is one to support the growth, the ecosystem, the infrastructure that UAE is excelled in. Um, I think that's one. And then employment, of course. So employing not only local UAE nationals, but also people from India, Philippines,
Hmm.
Asia,
Hmm.
America, and training them, mentoring them, growing with them.
Hmm.
I think that is another one. We are like a family. We are, I believe, in a very flat structure
Hmm.
where everyone's accessible to me as a CEO. My door is always open. I
Hmm.
do my Gemba walks, frequently and just meet everyone. And
Hmm.
we also believe in celebrating all these festivals.
Yeah.
So we celebrate anything from Christmas to Eid to Navratri to
Hmm.
Diwali,
Yeah.
so to Onam. So India, as you know, is a very diverse place. So
Correct.
we celebrate everyone's festivals, including
Hmm.
people's birthdays every month.
Hmm.
And so I think that's another important part is employment. And yeah, I truly believe in in-country value, which is something that the government, the ministry is pushing, where with globalization, tariffs, shipping, supply chain constraints,
Hmm.
in-country value becomes even more important, where
Hmm.
you are near the customer, delivery times are shortened,
Hmm.
carbon emissions are lower. It's definitely a sustainability issue,
Hmm.
advantage, and the other thing that I believe is that, which UAE and the Al Shirawi group, is that we get the best of technology, state-of-the-art technology,
Hmm.
great people, and then we build it in the UAE efficient ecosystem and
Hmm.
logistics to give a great product that
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
we are exporting globally, including, we export to America,
Yeah.
the oil and gas products. So. Um, the whole world is open to us
Hmm.
because of our innovative edge and infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. And what role do you believe the industrial sector is playing to shape UAE's next decade of economic growth?
Well, UAE is, in the forefront of innovation. I mean, it's truly inspiring that vision has continued. The leadership is
Hmm.
very ambitious. We are talking about anything from flying planes, which are coming soon, to Elon Musk, building this tunnel that you can
Hmm.
go quickly from Dubai to Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
railway system in the region, financial center hub, um, AI. Now we're having the largest AI data center.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and as I said, UAE is great in attracting people
Hmm.
to the country for their tax-friendly ownership
Yeah.
structure. So it's a very business friendly place.
Mm.
And, I've grown up here all my life,
Yeah.
and this is home for
Mm.
me.
Absolutely.
I'm Indian. Of course, I have Indian values, Indian
Yeah. Yeah.
culture, but I can't imagine living anywhere else in the world other than the UAE.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful
It's got
country.
the
Yeah.
the best of the East and the West, and nice mix, and it's multinational
Mm.
and safe. Most importantly, it's very, very safe,
Correct.
and you feel comfortable.
Mm.
And me and my kids, and we all have grown up here, and we love it here.
Fascinating. Absolutely. And what would you say your strategic priorities would be as you focus as the vice chairman with a company with a group that has over 30 companies?
I think very good question, and I think one important, I mean, many important goals are there, but
Mm.
I think diversity is definitely one of our strengths, and we need
Mm.
to continue to innovate and diversify across all sectors. I think one of the sectors we like to focus more on is the service sector because we are, construction and oil and gas, and that's something we really monitor on a regular basis.
Hmm.
But expanding into service businesses is important. Um, Growing global is important. So,
Mm.
also from a diversity point of view, including, M&A activities, greenfield factories,
Mm.
having partners, both maybe as a employee, like maybe someone comes with an idea, we're
Mm.
open to giving them equity and becoming a managing partner. I have done many joint ventures in my career,
Mm.
and I think especially in the oil and gas side, I truly believe that the know-how, in America and everywhere else in
Correct.
oil and gas, the engineering know-how is amazing. And we have been very, very successful with
Mm.
partners in joint ventures where we have been able to scale rapidly by
Mm.
combining forces with
Mm.
other companies.
Mm.
It's better to be united, share the profits,
Yeah.
and scale faster.
Mm.
So I think that's important. And as I said, um, we're building a legacy for the next generation. So
Absolutely.
Gen 3 is come in already. So two of the uh, sons have come in for the Gen 3, Gen
Yeah.
2, and they have seamlessly integrated into the group. And I think we have a structure from PwC where one member is allowed, and
Mm.
of the Gen 3, and I think we hope and wish and want to strategize to bring Gen 3 into the group
Mm.
to take the legacy to future generations. And this is a family business, as I said.
Mm. Yeah.
We are here for long term. We are not into the short-term quick profit.
Correct.
We build industries, we buy machines based on which are state of the art for long-term purposes,
Mm.
and our reputation as a group, as individuals, is very important to us. So absolutely no unethical, immoral
Mm.
steps
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
and we like to have an ecosystem with our stakeholders
Mm.
that are also highly reputable.
Mm.
You are for the people that you surround yourself with, right?
Correct.
So it's
Correct.
important to have the best suppliers, good quality customers,
Mm.
and great people. I think people is very important human capital.
Mm.
We like to, incentivize them. We like to, we hope that they work long term in our companies. I have someone working here for 18 years and someone 25 years. And So yeah, long-term employment is something that,
Correct.
grow together. That's
Correct.
our philosophy.
Correct. And how do you ensure alignment between the goals and values of your company with the goals and values of the country when it comes to productivity, localization, and industrial diversification?
So I think innovation would be the first thing that comes to mind.
Mm.
Is that you are uh, uh, we have to innovate
Hmm.
constantly. The S curve, I
Yeah.
believe in S and a second S curve,
Hmm.
is that we can't just stay still. And in terms of products, processes, we have to keep innovating and expanding. And I think we are expanding. We're one of the largest industrial groups, so we keep buying more land in
Mm.
all the Emirates and building factories. We truly believe in industry,
Mm.
uh, and um, other thing is technology. So digital transformation. I think not only the government but the whole country
Mm.
it really believes in IT,
Hmm.
and we are going through this transformation of upgrading our ERP
Yeah.
to the cloud, and where we'll get the efficiencies and more productivities, and most importantly, data. So I've just finished my course in the second course with AI with Harvard, and I'm really into this AI factory
Mm.
and having clean data and having data analytics
Correct.
and having a very important customer-centric,
Mm.
customer-focused experience.
Mm.
I think that is something that I always focus on.
Mm.
The customer's experience should be seamless, and they should have the data as to, like the Amazon experience.
Mm.
So um, I think IT is the backbone, and again, we have partners. We have our own IT department, which is very efficient and part of that committee. And so, yeah, IT is the backbone, and I think we believe this is our home, so we continuously invest in this country.
Mm.
We're not here for the short term, as I said.
Yeah.
So continuous investment is important.
Absolutely.
And as I said, growing and nurturing talent
Yeah.
is something that we have to continuously do and focus on diversity as well. People from all over, different nationalities, male, female, all of it.
Mm. Amazing.
The
Kabir, time for
culture,
one.
I mean, the culture is very important of
Absolutely.
the group and the
Yeah. Yeah.
organization.
Completely agree with you. Well said. Time for one more question for you. When you look ahead 20 years, what what kind of impact do you hope your group and your work will continue to make in the UAE, the region, and the next generation of leaders?
Great question. So I think as you gain experience over time, I think it's very important about the impact that you
Hmm.
have and the
Correct.
purpose and the purpose.
Correct.
So I think it's very important to help the community
Hmm.
and impact the community, the country, and I think to build businesses so that the next generation
Hmm.
um, are not only joining but are enjoying the business.
Hmm.
And so um, I think that's always and giving back. I think
Yeah.
that's very important, not only
Hmm.
for me personally, also as a company, being part of projects. Water is something very dear to me,
Yeah.
and education,
Hmm.
and helping people in India,
Hmm.
in Africa, to solve this water challenge. Right, water is actually,
Yeah.
they say, is the future asset. Is like the future gold.
Correct.
and just helping people have water. It's a
Hmm.
very simple message, but that's
Correct.
something very dear to me.
Hmm.
Um, we do a lot of ESG activities from blood donation to cancer and beach
Hmm.
cleanups, and I think that's very important. So it's and I think also it's a balance of life. It's not just about profit, but it's about employment, it's about purpose, community, health, um, balancing family life and time.
Hmm.
It's something that we are very aware, and we're, even rebuilding our offices to have that kind of message and that kind of purpose. So yeah, this is constantly on my mind, and
Hmm.
the groups.
Absolutely. And on that note, Kabir, I just want to say what a fascinating conversation this has been with you. I've spoken to many, many leaders like yourself, but I think this is the first time I've seen an articulation of a business strategy aligned so closely with that of the country or the region that you are living in. Everything that you said seems to have aligned beautifully with what I know of the UAE, and I've been there God knows how many times. You're growing well in your own region. You're l- following whatever the region's directions are, and clearly you're on an amazing trip and an amazing journey, not just for yourself and your own family, but for the entire organization and all your people. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck to you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.